we begin to see the signs present that confirm to us that a law is being formed.
What would those signs be?
Oh, we're getting technical. I love it, Riz. Okay, let's first begin with models in general, because I know that the majority of the audience probably has never heard about models, even the ICT traders. And I'm telling all of the ICT traders now, if you're feeling lost in all of the concepts out there, get to know models, because they provide you with the framework that you need to know in order to utilize ICT as concepts.
Welcome everyone back to the Words of Wisdom podcast. We're back once again. We're still here in Dubai. We're still the #1 trading podcast in the world and the fastest growing, thanks to all of you and our incredible guests. Make sure you hit subscribe now if you haven't already, because we have a very special guest with us today. The one and only, and what some may say, the next ICT himself. And the face reveal on top of that. I don't want to shake things up too much, but we're going straight into it. The one and only Zeussy is with us today.
Thank you for having me, Riz.
It's my pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Thank you for giving us this honor, the face reveal and the exclusive first podcast as well.
You're welcome. I think you have one of the most respectable podcasts in the industry, so it would be weird for me to hop on another podcast and do my face reveal there, of course. Definitely. So we're here.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And it's interesting. You'd be surprised the amount of people who are like, oh, another ICT trader, ICT trader, and it's funny to me because I always just reply like, there's so many. Like, what do you want me to do? Of course,
Yeah.
But I respect it and I love it so much. I think with yourself, because this is a face reveal, I think the interesting thing is probably one of the youngest ICT traders, especially with the impact you've had.
Yeah.
You've seen some young ICT traders, but they're not really built an audience or anything. They're probably just showing some chart work and stuff. Yeah. But you're someone who is so young. You're 18 years old, and you built a massive audience as well already on Twitter/X now. I don't know what to call it, but on X, as well as a YouTube channel. Massive impact as well, and some really incredible insights from what I've seen and even heard from others. Yeah. So I'm very excited to get into this. I think with yourself, let's go into your backstory a little bit, and then I'm sure we're going to get into some crazy trading stuff as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, so my name is Zeussy. I'm 18 years old. I am originally from the Netherlands. I'm sure people can tell by the accent already. Dutch people have like this accent that you can really recognize. But I started trading around 4 years ago. I began in the crypto space. I invested a few $100, and that turned into a few thousand rather quickly. I invested in Cardano. I don't know if you know the coin.
Yeah,
it's a pretty famous one. But yeah, I made some good money there. And ever since then, I was very intrigued by the whole trading scene, and I wanted to learn more about it. That few $1,000 was lost rather quickly as well, just to be fair. Played around with futures, with Bitcoin trading, and it didn't go well. Didn't really know how everything worked, but my fault, 14 years old. But still, seeing that big number on my screen right there, it was a Binance account, not under my name, of course, because I was underaged. But seeing that number there was really like this sign of, okay, I want to learn more about this space, because I was already in contact with people that were making serious money from trading/investing. Like, I invested in Cardano, but at the same time, other people that I knew went into that same coin with like at least 100x or even 1000x the type of money that I invested. So I was doing the maths and I was like, oh my God, these people are making serious money. So ever since I was 14 years old and I was in school, it was always like, okay, I need to figure out how this trading stuff works. I need to figure out how I can make money from the markets, because I realized that this is just a completely different world than the regular world that everyone lives in, where everyone just goes to work, gets a salary, and that's it. You get paid by the hour or paid by the project. In trading or investing, this is completely the opposite. So to then realize that at such a young age was rather conflicting, because imagine going through school every single day thinking like, what am I doing here? Why am I wasting my time here? I know that I'm going to pursue a different path. So it was very struggling for me to basically go through that process, and it was also a bit of a struggle for me and my close family members, like my mother, my parents, my father as well, because my father is actually a teacher. So when I brought up the idea to them of, okay, I want to drop out, pursue this trading career like fully, it was of course like not generally accepted right away. But and now we're here.
I can imagine. That's interesting though, trading at 14. How did you first come across trading then?
when crypto began to like really get in sort of a hype stage, so people were starting to begin more talking about it, etc., on social media, I came across this one Dutch guy who was investing into crypto, and he live streamed every single week on YouTube. So I just watched his live streams, and after a few weeks, I asked my mom, am I allowed to buy some crypto? And first of all, she was like, "Nah, you're too young, you know." But then eventually she said, "Why not? If you lose the money, it's only a few $100."
100%. And did you get the money from her, or was it like savings?
No, it was just savings, birthday gifts, and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then you lost that money. So what was the process like in terms of capital-wise? You made money first, then lost it after. Did you lose it in crypto again, or was it
No, in crypto, but it was not 100%.
Okay.
I believe I made like 4 or 5K, something around that, but I went back to 1K. So I was still in good profits from that initial investment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, okay, I'm going to stop here. I did the wise thing. I didn't continue because what I did was I followed some signal groups. And those signal groups were sending out, this alert, buy this coin now or sell this coin now. And what I thought they were doing was just, for the short term. But apparently those guys were swing traders. So I went in there with a lot of leverage, thinking, okay, I'm going to follow this guy's signal because he knows what he's talking about. And then, of course, not realizing that they were like swing traders. So going in with a high amount of leverage is then not smart if you go all in on every trade with your risk.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound
no,
of course. Painful.
So now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was the transition like now? So that was crypto futures, and then where did you go from there? How did you get to what are you trading today, for example?
Index futures.
So index futures. So
yes.
how did you transition to there? How did you come across ICT along the way?
Yeah. So when I lost that money in crypto, I was like, okay, let's just pause for a moment. Let's just, focus back on what every other teenager is doing. So I was, of course, very busy with school. I have the highest possible degree in the Netherlands. So that required a lot of time for me to study that. But besides that, I was also busy with girls and, just partying on the weekends, all of that stuff, the regular teenage activities. But when I was around 16, I was still like into this trading thingy, and I thought, okay, let's give it another try. So I began learning about support and resistance trading, diagonals, whatever, all of that stuff. And I came across a community, a Dutch community, where traders were being taught this way of trading. So when I came in there, I met some people, and they just stayed in contact with me. We shared our ideas with one another, and this was still in crypto. But eventually, one of those guys said, "Yo, Zeus, I have this group I just joined." And it was like a Dutch ICT community. And it was very small, like 20 people in there. But there was this one guy that was the owner of the group, and his name is InterBankGuy on Twitter. Mike, shout out to you. Like, man, when I saw him posting like his P&L, every single day or every single week, on, for example, S&P, NASDAQ, or even Euro, man, when I saw thousands of euros being made within just an hour or two, it was to me, okay, I'm gonna go down this path. And when I told him about that, and when he saw the work ethic that I possessed, he took me on this swing, and I basically began studying ICT concepts with the guidance of someone who already found success with ICT concepts. So it was almost as if I had two mentors at the same time.
That is interesting. Very, very interesting, because a lot of people, especially nowadays, you've probably seen it, to be fair, you might have even heard it yourself, where it's like, you're just trying to repackage what Michael's done, and you're just trying to basically copy ICT, or you're just repackaging ICT, for example. But it's a really interesting fact that you went through, where yes, ICT is the core or the foundation, but then you had someone who's already become successful off the back of that to really probably guide you and help you to sort of know what to not ignore, but what might not be helpful and what will be helpful. How important was that for you?
It was everything. I think that if I did not have that guidance there, and I would just have gone through Michael's content myself, not having the ability to ask questions, should I study this, should I study that, I think it would have taken me a very long time to find out what was really going on behind these markets, first of all, but secondly also what fit me as a person, what fit my personality. And I think Mike really helped me there when it comes to, okay, he literally told me, watch this, don't watch that. he didn't like really, share the concepts himself, but he just pointed me in the right direction. And through that, man, it just went so fast.
I can imagine. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get out the way the sort of questions some of the audience would want me to throw out there, for example.
Of course.
Right? So I want to just throw them out there, get them out of the way so we can focus on like technicals and value, because I'm always trying to learn from the audience, right? So ICT. Why do you feel like everyone's an ICT trader nowadays, or there's so many ICT traders now?
That's a very good question. I think there are so many ICT traders out there nowadays. It's simply just look at his audience. Look at how many subscribers he has gained. I've been following him since he had like 80,000 to 100,000 subs. 2.5 years later, he's at 1.2 million. Think about that for a second. There's no one in the trading industry who has had such a large audience so quickly, and with so much respect as well.
With all the followers, right, there's also the doubters, the haters, right? And what they commonly say about ICT is, he doesn't trade live, or he's repackaged these content from other people in the past, hasn't won the Robins, for example, or has faked withdrawals in the past, all of this stuff, right? And I'm not saying this personally, I'm just saying what I'm trying to do here is say, take those people out there who would say that and try and use that to say, let's not listen to this guy because he's an ICT trader, and look at all this stuff to question when it comes to ICT. And I'd say, like, what do you think to that? Or what are your thoughts when you hear all that? Especially as someone who has learnt the concepts and it's helped you to become who you are. When you hear all this other stuff, was that ever a worry for you? Was that ever something that crossed your mind? Do you think there's any truth to any of it?
Good question, first of all. And I think one of the main things that was really a trust factor for me was the fact that I went through the 2022 mentorship live. So that means I literally watch Michael call the market every single week live. I don't think anything else has to be said about that. And I know why there are people that are hating on ICT, that are, throwing all of this doubt out there. Oftentimes it's are the guys that are trading a different style and trying to sell their packages or their courses, whatever. But that's besides the point. I think that when you see someone do that, nothing but respect. Simple as that. And that's what I literally said to myself every single time I was listening to ICT speak back then. Because back then, the doubt was also there. The haters were also there. But it's just a choice. Who do you listen to? Who do you decide to pay attention to? Because if you're paying attention to all the hate and all the doubt, how could you ever think that you could learn how this guy is viewing the markets? How he views time and price. You can't, because you're constantly thinking about the question, is he real or is he fake? Why not just put faith in it? And why not just put faith in the fact that this guy is out there investing his own time and energy to help you?
So would you say then it's like a distraction?
It's a distraction for sure. And I feel like it's something we see a lot nowadays, where there are so many distractions out there that it's very easy to lose focus of what's really important. And I feel like these distractions are also planted there in a way for you to get lost by, for you to lose your attention. And one of the things I just want to say to all of the people that are completely new to ICT concepts and trading in general is like, just focus on what is being shared with you in front of you and then make up your own mind. Don't listen to what this guy out here is saying or that guy. Just focus on, okay, are you seeing the logic that is being shared? Repeat, day in, day out, week in, week out. There you have your answer.
Would you say off the back of that everyone should be an ICT trader?
No. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to your personality. Because in order to become an ICT trader, you must first understand that it has to fit your personality. You have to believe that things are rigged from a higher level. Yeah. If you are not able to believe that right there, you can't be an ICT trader when it comes to believing that the markets are driven by algorithms.
So do you feel like you have to have that belief in the algorithm? Or let's say if you didn't believe in the algorithm, but you still understood the concepts or resonate with the concepts, it would still be fine.
I think it would still be fine, yes. However, in order for the concepts to work, in order for accumulation, manipulation, distribution, which is the core power of 3 to work, there has to be, of course, a player or a series of players out there that need to cause that manipulation. So it's like, if you're not believing in that right there, you're just a patterns trader. And how many patterns traders are out there? It's the narrative that matters.
Interesting. It is interesting. One key difference I've seen, and it might even sort of go off the back of what you're saying in terms of having that faith or having that belief in the bigger picture there, right? In terms of the ICT narrative.
Yes.
Because when I speak to the ICT traders, yourself, Kit, Ali, Omar, a lot of Omar students who I've spoken to as well, they all have this confidence, a different type of confidence when it comes to their analysis and their strategies. And obviously there are a lot of ICT different concepts, you know, and sort of playbooks, if you will. Yeah. But regardless, because each of these guys different, you know, they probably use different ones. But what I've realized is they all have such confidence in their ones, which is always interesting to me. I always find it, the way they speak about it as well is that confidently driven. It gets to a point where I'm sitting there like, wow, I should learn this probably. I know, it's so interesting.
You're getting dragged into the cult.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. In terms of the cult, because that's another thing. Like, I've had a Fair Value God. His episode just came out recently, right? I've had
good episode. I love him, man.
Yeah, no, he's a great
trader, man.
Exactly, I love the way he was explaining things. But he mentioned whether you're in the cult or not, it doesn't matter. And other people have said the same. Like Ali said it's a cult. Even Omar said it's a cult, right? And people get really annoyed. They really get. And bear in mind, these are all ICT traders saying it. They get really annoyed by the word cult. Like it has to be a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Of course not.
Like, what are your thoughts? And we can leave in terms of all these sort of questions. We're going to move past after this one. But in terms of this word cult that gets used or described around the ICT community, what do you think to that? Do you think it's a bad thing, good thing? Does it matter? Let's take a break for a minute there, guys, because I want to tell you about the best trading tool on the market, TradeZeller. The reason why TradeZeller is the #1 trading tool that every trader needs is because you can do backtesting, automated journaling, trade replay, in-depth analytics, and so much more. And the greatest part about TradeZeller is that it's all automated. All you have to do is connect your MT4 and MT5. It will pull all your data onto the dashboard. You can add playbooks. You can just add notes. You can add images from your trades, and you can get the insights that is necessary for you to progress as a trader. Now, TradeZeller is for absolutely everyone. Whether you're a crypto trader, whether you're a Forex trader, whether you trade prop firms, it is for absolutely everyone. And that is why thousands of traders have signed up using my link here through the podcast. Make sure you use the code RIZ10 for 10% off your monthly subscription, or WOR for 20% off your yearly subscription. The link is in the description below. And let's get back to the episode.
I think with regards to the situation of the ICT community being a cult, I totally agree. It's 100% a cult. And ICT has even agreed upon this many times during his lectures. And for some reason, people just ignore that. They think, he doesn't accept it, etc. But he calls it the cult of winning. Because it's just what you said. It's that confidence that ICT traders have when they have found their model, when they have found their edge, that they see it repeat week in, week out. What else is there to doubt about it? I don't really care about any of the things that people accuse ICT of, because the thing is, I see that his stuff works for me. Yeah, and there it ends. There the whole question about his validity ends. And I think that's the whole reason why people should first investigate whether or not they can see his concepts repeat. And if they do see it repeat, okay, good. Now build your model, build your edge, build your protocol.
One thing people will say, and this is putting us ICT to one side, people are going to say, Riz, this guy's just 18. What does he know? Why should we listen to him? Right? Mm-hmm. What would you say to those people before we start going into all the trading stuff and the value? But what should we say to those people who say, Riz, why did you get this guy on? He's 18. What does he know? He's probably just saying the sound bites, if you will.
Yeah. Just to sound smart.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, this guy has been active on Twitter, sharing his executions with a great level of precision for 1.5 years now, ever since he was 16. Yeah, and on YouTube, on Twitter, and just ask anyone. The impact is there. I don't know why I'm at this point, at this age, because it all feels like a dream, and I thank the Lord above for everything, because the things I see and the things I know I don't feel like I should even deserve this. But like my mind is automatically combating that and saying, well, you've put in so much work, you've put in the hours, you do deserve it. But at the same time, it's like, it's a very weird feeling, and it's something Michael really helped me with during his lectures. I want to touch on that as well. Like, everyone probably knows me or knew me initially from the motivational videos. Like, I was the first one on YouTube to come out there and just, get these scripts from ICT, his long-winded Twitter spaces or his lectures, pick out the motivational parts, put a good audio on it, lay it over a solid execution video or a series of execution videos, and there we go. Sick video. And people really got motivated by it. And the reason why people got motivated by it is because it's this figure out there that's telling you it is possible. Keep going. No matter how hard it gets, you just put your head down and you keep going. No matter what people around you say, you put trust in this, and eventually things will start to click for you. So yeah, that's who I am. And the legacy is just getting started.
That's the beauty of it. The beauty of being that young is that you can't even call it a head start, because I feel like that's kind of has like a negative tone to it.
Yeah.
It's more so that you've put action in earlier than the majority normally would, and therefore put yourself in a position to get ahead of everyone else at an early, very early age. Very strong foundation. What would you say is the key to the markets?
The key to the markets from a technical stance, or?
Let's go technical first, yeah.
Technical stance. Okay, good question. Time and price, first of all. Meaning that specific things within the markets will occur during specific times.
In terms of times, I saw screenshots from your Twitter page, X page. I never know what to say. X page. Let's start trying to be modern. X page. I've seen times, right? And it's interesting though, because it's not times like most like I've seen before. I've seen other people mention like kill zones, market open, the session opens, etc. But I've seen you put like specific times, like 4:30 a.m. on the Monday, 4:30 a.m. on the Tuesday, 11:30. I've seen these. I don't know the significance of the actual times or the days, right, if there is any. But I've seen this reoccurring where you're showing the exact same day on day one, exact same time on day one, and then the exact same time on day two, and then some form of trade idea / case study, etc., being shown. Can you break that down for us? Can you break down for us the reasoning behind that, the thought process behind that?
Okay, good question. So when it comes to time and how I interpret time, one of the main things that the audience needs to understand is the following. When we are looking at time and price, there's a reason why it's time first and then price. Many people come to me and they ask me, yo, Zeus, why didn't this fair value gap work? Why didn't this breaker setup work? Why didn't this turtle soup work? It's because the time is off. Because you need to understand the market moves when it's allowed to move, and it occurs at the right time. For example, if there's high impact news at 10 a.m., will the market expand usually right before 10 a.m.?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Right before 10 a.m.? Not usually. No.
Why not?
Because waiting for the news itself is normally where we see that.
It's being held inside of a tight range. Consolidation is taking place. What follows always after consolidation? Expansion. So when you use that very simple example of, understanding that news gets utilized to inject volatility into the marketplace, to cause expansions, that is time-based, you can also understand that even on a no-news day, the market will seek to expand during specific times. ICT has given us macro time windows. If someone would simply just study those time windows, those 20-minute intervals, man, it's undeniable. Every single week there are setups, and you just need to capture one. Think about that for a second. You just need to capture one, and you're done. But people are greedy. Okay. Well, if there's a macro every single day, multiple times a day, then I can trade during the London session, then I can trade during the New York session, then you can trade during the afternoon session.
And the circle just goes round
Exactly.
and round. So, timing-wise, is there specific times you focus on?
Yes.
And what would those times be?
You want the very specific ones?
As specific as you can get, yeah.
Okay, as specific as I can get without getting myself into any trouble. If your audience would study, for example, 9:45 a.m. New York time, UTC -5, till 10:15, that's a very interesting time window, to say the least. Secondly, a nice time window for the AM session is 10:45 to 11:15 a.m. And I'm talking about index futures right here, meaning Nasdaq, ES, Dow Jones. Doesn't matter that it doesn't work on Forex, but since I'm an index futures trader, that's where my focus is, of course. Okay. Yeah. PM session, we can already basically begin at 12:45 to 1:15 p.m. 1:45 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. 2:45 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. And I always get this question like, Zeus, why are you annotating exactly the turning point of every single trade that you're taking? Because what I do is, we'll get into that in a bit, I'm sure, when we start discussing the market maker models. But what I do is that whenever I have a trade that I'm recording, that I'm executing on, I actually annotate the exact reversal point. So let's say that I'm trading a short, I annotate the high right here. So I say, okay, at this time, the high formed, And what people don't seem to get, until now probably, is that when you start studying at what times the market reverses, and you do that for weeks straight or months, you begin to see repeating phenomena. And then all of a sudden, the light bulb moment occurs. And it's like, well, maybe what this ICT guy was telling us all along is actually occurring, because you're seeing it with your own eyes. But it would be so sad for the audience to just watch this podcast and think, you know what, he's probably full of shit, and not investigate at all. Well, those people, first of all, will never make it in any endeavor, because they're too lazy to put in their own work to see if there's any validity behind the things that I'm saying. Well, I'm out here not stuttering at all, because I know that this works. I've seen it so many times that it's just undeniable at this stage.
In terms of you predicting that high with the time within these videos, are these videos recording live price action?
Live price action.
So not bar replay,
no bar replay like every single one on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts is doing. And one way that you can detect that is by simply looking at the following. First of all, are they executing the idea? Yes, okay, then you already know it's live. But secondly, are you seeing the time in the right corner tick? If you see the time tick and move along with the candles, you know it's live.
So why those specific times?
If you know ICT's macro windows that he has given, if you would extend them with 5 minutes, meaning on both sides, you would see repeating phenomena right there. And it's almost as if he hinted at those macro windows, but said, you know what, let's not give the exact times, but move it a bit ahead.
In terms of the time windows then, is there anything specific? I'm trying to think, because I'm thinking like, what would the audience want to know based on those? Would you say it's a case where they need to, one, of course, they can check out the videos that you have put out, yes. Number one. But two, do you feel like it's necessary for everyone to, to go observe this themselves over and over? Is this something that happens every single day? Or these are just windows of time that you need to observe for something to happen within that time frame? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So what's important to note is that not every single day the same level of algorithmic precision is present on the market that you are investigating. This is something many people that are not familiar with ICT seem to get wrong. They think, well, this guy is teaching how the market works, and you have this guy telling you, okay, at this times this should happen, this pattern should form, and they think it should happen every single day. However, that's not the case. Why not? Well, think about it logically. If the same stuff would happen every single day at the same timings, it's like a no-brainer that someone would figure it out. That someone would say, well, okay, this is really being manipulated. This is really being controlled. So what they do is they shift every single day, meaning that certain days at this exact time a reversal will form. The next day, at another time, the reversal will form. However, you can detect that. You can see whether or not the reversal is likely to form. Because if you understand that there is always a point of interest, let's keep on looking. No, you know what? Let's look at longs, because the markets have been so bullish for such a long time, index futures. Let's say that we have this point of interest, this price level, where we're anticipating the market to come in. Yeah? If we see the market drop lower lower into that point of interest, but not at the right time, we can already basically say, okay, the probabilities of a low forming here, right here, to then send price higher are decreased significantly. But let's say that the market does come into that point of interest at the right time. Yeah, and we begin to see the signs present that confirm to us that a low is being formed. Okay, well, what we can then do is say, okay.
What would those signs be?
Oh, we're getting technical. I love it, Riz. Okay, let's first begin with market maker models in general, because I know that the majority of the audience probably has never heard about market maker models, even the ICT traders. And I'm telling all of the ICT traders now, if you're feeling lost in all of the concepts out there, get to know market maker models, because they provide you with the framework that you need to know in order to utilize ICT as concepts. And many times ICT has said that market maker models, MMXM, come closest to how he really trades. Because it's important to note that what ICT has done is that he has created a language, a language for how the market moves, to make it make sense, why price does what it does, But it's not the real reason why price is doing what it's doing. But the market...
It was like an inception.
Exactly.
It's like an inception, maybe.
Mate, I have so much respect for the guy to think about a way to just, make it make sense to everyone, but not tell the real thing. Insane. But back to market maker models. So when it comes to market maker models, it's very important to understand that market maker models are the full reason why the market is moving up or down. Every single market move is part of a market maker model. No doubt about that. So if we understand that, and we understand that the market moves in waves, meaning we go up, down, but we can't go up forever. At some point, the market has to retrace, to then continue higher at a later point in time. That retracement engineers liquidity. What liquidity? Buy-side liquidity. Why? Because that retracement is causing every single retail-minded trader out there to think we're gonna go lower. They look at the news, and the news is gonna say, this is happening, that is happening, the economy is bad, all of this stuff. What we then need to understand is that the market will retrace in a very specific area, a point of interest. That retracement into that point of interest is the sell side of the curve within a market maker buy model. You still following along?
I'm following along.
Okay.
Just about.
Of course, perfect. The high of that retracement is where our original consolidation is. This original consolidation has one function, and it's to engineer liquidity to be attacked at a later point in time. So when we understand that what they do is they drive price lower, or the algorithm drives price lower, because it's not the buying or selling pressure that's causing the market to move. When IPDA, the interbank price derivative algorithm, is driving price lower into that point of interest, we know they're engineering buy-side liquidity, because above every single short-term high that forms inside that retracement leg, you will see that people will place their stop losses to try and go short. So what the market does, it reaches that point of interest, and then we can look for multiple things. First of all, we're going to take a look at time. Time is by far the most important thing, meaning at the right time our point of interest has to get reached. When this occurs at the right time, we can look at the following. We can look for intermarket relationship. We can look at highly correlated markets or inversely correlated markets and see whether or not we are seeing patterns between those markets. Let's say that we're looking at ES, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, the 3 index futures. And we are looking at the relationship between the 3. One of those will not create the same type of low relative to the other 2. It will happen. Every single reversal that occurs has SMT. SMT being a cracking correlation between those highly correlated markets or inversely correlated markets. So what you see is that, for example, Nasdaq and ES make lower lows, whilst the Dow Jones makes higher lows. In our point of interest at the right time. Think about the confluences that you have there to confirm that a smart money reversal is occurring. But now we're not there yet. Some people like to go long already there. That's what we call turtle souping. Pretty familiar term, of course. And what we then see is that the market displaces higher. So crucial levels are being broken through. The market trades above what I refer to as an intermediate term high. If people would go to my YouTube channel and search up the market structure shift pattern, It's this pattern that occurs so many times in every reversal. It's absolutely undeniable when you start paying attention to reversals. It's when you see an imbalance, a fair value gap, like you know it, on the left side of the curve. The market retraces into that. It forms a high, and that high gets utilized to send price lower again into that point of interest where SMT is occurring. The moment that price displaces above that high with speed and velocity and a fair value gap on the bullish side, so a bullish fair value gap, a BC, gets created, what you will often see is that the market retraces into that high, which is a bullish breaker, into that old CB, inversion fair value gap, into that old bearish fair value gap, and then the market continues higher. Because price is being delivered efficiently inside of that price range, balanced price range.
So you're connecting all the dots within.
Exactly.
And then the timing aspect is, so you need the time and then you look for the rest afterwards.
Yes. And that's exactly what ICT has been teaching all along.
If you saw that though, all of that, but the time wasn't there, you wouldn't take it.
Not good.
Why is that?
Why that is the case? The reason why that is the case is because the probabilities of your pattern right there playing out decrease significantly.
Interesting.
Because that's also why we're not trading during times of day that are not interesting at all, when the volatility is low. Because you need to understand, in order for an algorithm or a high frequency trading algorithm to operate, it has to know a few variables. It has to first understand time. At what time am I going to search for this? Okay, then the time comes. What am I then going to look for in price? What makes me bullish or bearish? And there's so many different variables that we can look for there.
What style of trading do you do then? So you trade on these, the NASDAQ, the ES and US 30, for example.
NASDAQ only, by the way.
You just trade NASDAQ?
Yeah,
okay.
lately. ES has been one hell of a mess, and I anticipate that to switch up soon, because there are quarters where you want to trade, for example, ES or NASDAQ.
Okay.
Depends on relative strength.
But like, what style of trading are you doing? Are you scalping? Are you day trading? Are you swing trading?
I would say intraday trading, but more so on the scalper side, because my positions, their duration are rather short, and that's also why I'm able to record what I do. I wouldn't record my executions if I was in there for the whole day. Buying during London and selling during the PM session. That would not make sense, of course.
And in terms of the models, though, are they replicable, or what's the word that people use? They use forgotten me. They use. Are the concepts fractal in the sense that you're doing it as a scalper or a day trader, but can someone use the exact same model, slightly maybe higher time frame, and maybe I don't know if the timing then changes or not. Maybe you can give us some insights into that. But could they then adjust the same thing to swing trading? Yes.
Like you said, the only thing that has to be adjusted for is the time aspect.
Okay. Do you know what the time would look like in terms of the specific times you'd be interested in?
Well, the specific times, like the way that we are looking at them intraday, it's of course completely different, because then we just have these 30-minute intervals that looking for very specific things. However, if you would fractalize that all the way to the higher time frames, you would be looking more so at weeks, or if we start even higher, even for example months, then weeks, then days. And then within those days, specific sessions. And that's where you would stop as a swing trader. Because you don't care as a swing trader by exactly capturing the high or low of a session. You just care about capturing the near the high or low of a week, for example.
So then, in my understanding, if you were going for the higher time frame, let's say, you're then looking at a session. In that session, you're then looking for, let's say, on the 15-minute time frame, maybe 5 to 15-minute time frame, you're then looking for these models to be performing just as you did on the 1 minute, let's say, for a scalp or day trade, but you're now just looking, you're taking the time it's extending to the session, but then within that session, now instead of looking at the 1 minute models that are forming, you're now looking at the, say, 5 or 15 or hourly. For these same models. So everything's the same, but you're just shifting it all. Yeah,
exactly. And that's where personal preference comes in. And that's one of the beauties, I think, about ICT trading, is that it's all fractal, meaning it all forms in one another. But it all comes down to your higher time frame order flow. where is price reaching towards on the highest possible time frame. When you understand that, intraday trading becomes so easy. Because you just gotta wait for manipulation and the opposing side of your anticipated bias, and there you go.
This type of certainty, in terms of like very confident in what you're saying, you obviously believe it and have faith in it and really trust it. People may hear that and they may think, well, okay, this guy's strike rate must be 100%, right? Because he obviously understands the market. He's unlocked the market, if you will, using these concepts. Give us some insight. What is your sort of strike rate looking like? What does that look like? Is it, you're just right all the time, or what is the reality of using these concepts, feeling the faith and confidence, but then actually applying them? What is the translation of all of that?
Well, if you would look at social media, it seems like everyone is just winning all the time. And it's because social media is the highlight reel. Social media is fake. Doesn't matter. What you look at, social media is fake. Because everyone just shows their beauty. They show their best side of themselves. And that's one of the things people need to understand. Even when ICT was beginning on YouTube, when he was beginning on Twitter, only wins were being shared. Why? It's because that attracts an audience. So that's important to understand. Even though you have a lot of confidence in a model, you yourself will still make mistakes, executing at the wrong times, executing when the market is not signaling to you, for example, that it's not going to happen. And that's where you as the analyst are wrong.
Would you say that particular, the concept as a whole, wouldn't you just class it still as a pattern? Because isn't a pattern just something that reoccurs in the market over and over? Or do you think it's more complex than a pattern?
Way more complex. Because if it was just a pattern, then everyone would be able to recognize it and see it. But not many people are able to recognize it, but also recognize when it shouldn't work. And that's the narrative part. And that's something you need to learn through experience.
And how long did it take you in particular to sort of learn and observe these concepts?
When the 2022 model came out, it was so simple, the model itself. When it comes to the way that ICT explained it, I already began to see working, even in crypto, because I was still in the Bitcoin scene back then, rather quickly. Because it's simply a purge on significant buy-side liquidity. You wait for a change in state of delivery back then. He thought it as a market structure shift. Wait for a retracement into the imbalance that forms within that displacement leg, and there you go. And when you study the pattern, it occurs very much.
And in terms of capital, like what do you trade? Do you trade prop firms, personal? Like what is this?
Initially prop firms indeed, but I'm slowly making the switch towards my own personal account, because I feel like the prop firm space itself is not a space that is good to stay in for a very long time.
Do you trade on futures?
Yes.
Okay, so were you using futures prop firms?
Initially the CFD ones, but the problem is with the style of trading that I adhere to is the fact that the spread kills you.
Okay. And then in terms of like personal capital, what is your sort of goal? Where are you looking to start at in terms of foundation?
In the six figures.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your goal with trading? Like, where is it you're wanting to take it? Is it something where you just want to trade for yourself and just scale as much as possible? Or are you looking to get investors or trade with funds? Or where is your goal at?
Very good question. And in all honesty, right now, it's something I want to keep private because we got major things coming up during the upcoming years. I'm 18 and I'm getting recognition from a lot of big people in the space. So to hear from them, okay, you need to keep going, you need to do this, do that, because this is what's out there, what's possible. Like the people I'm in contact with, it's insane, the type of money that is being made on such high levels. So for me personally, it's like I like to share what I'm up to. I like to share what I'm doing. However, when it comes to business and also my personal life, I keep stuff private.
And if someone was to, let's say there's an investor out there, right? They want to give you capital to trade and manage. Are you in a position to be able to show them, maybe not a track record, because if you're trading props and now going over to personal, but are you able to show like, here's some consistent payouts, right? And consistent money being made from the markets if there was an investor out there who was looking to approach you?
Yes. However, I would not accept it right now. And that's a good thing that you asked that, because for me personally, as an 18-year-old, my focus is right now on building that track record and making it more impressive, making it very solid before I start going out there and sharing this is what I'm up to.
Give us some insights into what your trading looks like. So we know it's like scalping / day trading. We know time specific. We're looking at NASDAQ at the moment. But what does it look like in terms of like the average sort of trades being taken per week? Yes. The average sort of return we're looking at, maybe the average sort of strike rate. Give us these sort of stats and insights into the strategy, into what you're deploying and the sort of edge you're using.
Yes. Well, I have multiple models. That's first of all important to understand. There's not just one model that I'm executing every single time, because sometimes I enter based on a low risk buy. There are mainly 3 different stages within every single market maker model. We first of all have the low risk buy or sell. It's that breaker setup, that market structure shift pattern that I explained prior. Then we have our first stage of accumulation or distribution. That's your second opportunity. And then you have the third opportunity, which is the second stage of accumulation or distribution, which is your redistribution phase. So for every single stage, there are different stats out there, of course. However, if I would go out there and share with you the main model, which is that breaker setup, man, like, I don't pay attention to RR. I don't believe in it. I don't like to say this is how much RR I made on this trade, because I think it's absolutely bullshit and I think we should not pay attention to it too much. But when we are looking at RR, the numbers can be very insane, because sometimes there are instances when you sell near the high or low, or you sell near the high of the day and you buy near the low of the day. And when that occurs, it's insane. Opposite side of the range and you're already up 3, 4, 5, whatever. Don't pay attention to it. Just pay attention to whether or not the risk that you're taking is worth the potential profit that you're gonna make.
So why don't you believe in the R? Why do you think it's useless?
Why I don't believe in the R is a very good question. What I see a lot around me on the socials is that there are these people that just go out there and say, look, I made 10 R. Look, I made 20 R. Look, I made 40 R. Okay, but do it live. Get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's a problem there when it comes to the RR side of things, because when we are paying too much attention to RR, we're not paying attention to what is realistic, what we could realistically achieve. That's why I'm saying take risk that you are comfortable with taking on, and then see, okay, whether or not the profit that you're aiming for is worth the risk that you're taking. Simple as that. And if that's a 1 to 2, why not? If you know your model, if you know your protocol, then you know how the market should deliver during that next delivery profile or macro.
So what would your average look like? Do you have an average based on that original model we discussed?
I don't look at the R. I don't count it.
So in terms of the market maker model, I've had a few people on the podcast. They've mentioned it, but we've never gone into depths of it. I know we just went into some, but you've alluded to that is the closest that ICT trades. Why is that the case? Why is that, or how do we know that's the closest to how he trades?
Well, first of all, he said it. He has said many things, but on this thing, I truly believe him. Some things I'm like, okay, did that really happen? Getting kidnapped and put in a fan, for example, you know the story, but he's a great guy, because in those type of stories, he drops hints. But when it comes to the market maker models and why it comes closest to ICT, his personal strategy, I'm not saying at all that I've discovered Enigma, like some people are out there claiming to have discovered it, while all of those people are full of shit. Simple as that. But let's say that ICT says that he trades mainly based on market maker models. If that is his personal strategy, or his personal strategy is built around those market maker models, we need to first dissect what is a market maker model then. What are the functions of a market maker model? And the market maker models themselves are a perfect representation of real accumulation, manipulation, and distribution taking place. Power of 3. I'm sure you heard of it many times. It's a very important concept when it comes to ICT trading. If you don't understand that, you're completely lost when it comes to all of the patterns that you're looking for. However, to understand Power of 3 or AMD, you can pay close attention to market maker models, because a market maker model is not just a pattern. That's what many people seem to get wrong. They go into the charts and they've seen like the schematic. I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the internet. And they've seen the schematic of an original consolidation, the left side of the curve and the right side of the curve. They think this is just it. Now I can go out there and look for this pattern and I become profitable and this is it. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's not how simple it is. Because the market maker model itself represents something. It represents real fear and greed playing out. Because when the market is going higher aggressively, people are becoming greedy. They think, okay, it's gonna go higher forever. So what do? They buy. They keep on buying. The news is saying we're gonna go higher. It's bullish. The economy is going well. All of this stuff. What occurs? All of that retail money flows into the marketplace. Where do they place the stop losses? Below every single retracement that takes place. So when price reaches a very specific price level, or point of interest, as I like to refer to it, at the right time, and we begin to see those signs that I outlined earlier during the podcast, it's like when you see that first displacement leg lower, creating that bearish breaker, and that bearish breaker is being respected, and other signs are being present as well, such as intermarket relationship supporting your idea, it's like, okay, what is likely to happen next? If you're thinking against the masses. If you're thinking outside of how everyone thinks. Because then we come back to that initial belief. The majority of people think that these markets are driven by buying or selling pressure. If you want to become an ICT trader and someone who trades as close to ICT as possible, you need to understand that that right there can't be the reason why price moves up or down. Because the main reason why price moves up or down is because it's algorithmically driven. And how do we know that? Because these things occur every single week at the right times. And it's just a matter of time to seeing, okay, when is that manipulation taking place? When is IPDA showing its hand? And when you know that IPDA showed its hand and the manipulation is complete, you can anticipate the distribution to take place. So accumulation, manipulation, distribution.
So is that a market maker model?
Yes.
Interesting. So I have heard of it.
Because the fun thing is, like it's like AMD is like this schematic where you have an accumulation taking place, manipulation to the upside, for example, and then distribution lower. That accumulation phase is your original consolidation within a market maker sell model. Okay. The buy side of the curve, as the left side of the curve, is that manipulation taking place. The right side of the curve is that distribution taking place. So just a gem in there for the people that are new to ICT concepts and thinking what's the difference between AMD and MMXM. It's the same.
Interesting. Very interesting. And you've said it twice now, or maybe three, but you've said in regards to buying and selling pressure.
Yes.
So you don't think that is the case? That's not what's moving the markets?
No. And the reason why I am of the opinion it's not the case is something that is rather hard for me to even say. Because when you figure out certain stuff and when you begin to look for very specific things occur, it is like, should I know this? We talked about this prior, where that's that internal, I wouldn't say doubt, but more so the fear of, am I allowed to know this? Because there are instances literally when we have, for example, a second chart open or just a chart that no one sees, and we have a price level annotated, like up here, and the market is here. Market goes higher, 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 climbs there. When does it reach that price level? During the time window that I described to you, and the market turns around. You tell me that exactly at that price level there are people going short. Loads amount of people. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. At the first time you might think, you know, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's just luck. But when you see it over and over again, exactly at that point of interest, the market turning around, seeing those algorithmic signatures that I just described to you, there's no doubt in my mind about it anymore. And I'm sure that there are people out there who come from a finance world that have loads of experience in that world, and I appreciate your opinion, but this is my opinion. And I'm not going to get into any discussions about that, because I have my own opinion and you have yours, and we can agree that we don't agree. Simple as that, yeah. And I'm not someone who goes on the socials and just, you know, like goes out there and, you know, argue with people. If you like to believe that, fine, be my guest. I believe this. We either resonate or not. It doesn't mean that we have to argue about it.
That's a very fair assessment in terms of not having to argue, for sure. One question that I do see get asked, or when it has been asked or raised, is in terms of, do you believe the banks trade this way? Now, a lot of people say no, of course, who I've had on. And then when they say no, ICT himself has responded previously, saying they don't understand how that these banks are just, I can't remember what he refers to them as, but they're like, they're not like tier one, essentially. They're not like the banks we're referring to when we're talking about the algorithm, right? These are just facilitating banks. They're just lower level banks. They're not even the firms, for example, like institutional investment firms or hedge funds. He goes, no, not even them. We're talking about the overlord, if you will, like the one at the very top. So I think he even says, like, I think maybe central banks or even beyond that. What are your thoughts, or what is your understanding of where this algorithm sits within this chain, if you will, like this food chain of banks and investors and private capital?
I think that if we would get into that topic, then this podcast would not be allowed on YouTube, or it would not get the reach that it should get, in my opinion, because there has been an instance back in November, end of November, where me and my good friend Rich the Bull, we introduced a concept to the world, to the community, and it was called TABLA, Time and Algorithmic PD Arrays. Yes? Mm-hmm. So that means that we literally combined time with ICT as PD arrays. Not just saying, okay, look, this PD array forms during this time. No. Literally showing that PD array forms relative to PD arrays that formed in the past. But it goes even deeper. That candle that is currently printing is referring to the same time-based candle in the past. Okay, I just shared that with you. Based on that, it's already like, okay, what's probably gonna happen here? I don't know. But when we released that thread, we attached the live stream that we held inside of the ones that know our community. It was around 15 to 20 minutes long, the recording of that stream, We attached that stream recording to the thread, I went to sleep. It was middle of the night over here in Dubai. And I woke up and my phone exploded. Like, there were so many messages. I was like, what the F is going on here, you know? So I looked at the thread. It had hundreds of thousands of views. Like, within a short period of time, like 6 to 7 hours. So that was already insane. But when I scrolled down through the thread, the live stream recording was gone. Like, it was literally gone. We weren't able to exit it. If you still go to that thread, it's still out there. You literally see at the end of that thread, recording not available. Something along those lines. I reached out to X support, or Twitter, whatever we want to call it. We agreed on X. Yeah. I reached out to X support publicly, asking them what's going on here. No response. Radio silence. We then uploaded the stream again. People couldn't watch it again. And finally, after 3 tries, people are now able to still watch that recording. After that experience, back in the end of November, December, shadow ban. When that right there occurred, I knew, okay. I said to my good friend, Rich, and all of the people that are close to us, I said, we have just touched a barrier right here. We have poked a wall, and these are the walls that ICT has been warning us about for many years now. There are certain limits, certain boundaries that have been established that you can't go beyond. Because if you do, you're going to figure out what's going on right there.
So you feel like this PD array with the time is one of those
It's
barriers.
Absolutely insane. Like, it's not like PD arrays themselves. Like, I know for many people that are new to ICT, etc., they look at PD arrays, etc. When you look through the PD array, when you just look at time and price, you don't need the PD array because it's a pattern. It's not pattern, it's logic that matters. Because PD arrays form at specific price levels.
So if people want to look into that more, what would you say to them?
I would literally say to them, just listen through ICT's lectures and just seriously question everything that he mentions. Like, this guy has literally just created a language around something that he knows how it operates, and he just said, okay, this is why it works, but not really.
Why do you feel like he doesn't just be straight to the point? You know, it's just say, okay, like you mentioned earlier with the time, like adjust the time by 5 minutes either side, and then
the precision is
the
just
precision is
insane.
actually there.
Yeah.
Why not just give the time on the time rather than it has to be
Well,
adjusted?
Then we come back to those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
If there are boundaries in place, if this is how big money is transferring their assets internationally, day in, day out, week in, week out. This is how richly the whole world operates. Without this system in play, the whole world as we know it, the regular world, so not Planet Finance, but the regular planet where everyone just goes to work, does their job, whatever, saves up their money in a pension, whatever, it doesn't operate. It doesn't work. Because how could we else transfer so much money so quickly? There has to be an efficient process in play with the least amount of risk. So it has to be very precise.
So you feel like they don't want the masses to know because obviously it would change the dynamic.
Exactly.
Of society.
And the thing then is, would it still work if everyone would know how it works?
That's fair. Obviously, that's a big assessment that a lot of people are making in terms of smart money concepts.
Yeah, but it's just think logically about it. Like the fact that me as an 18-year-old experienced what it's like for a big social media platform like X to literally just go out there and silence me. So to just say, okay, you have certain information there. We're not going to spread this to the world.
Do you feel like X knew that, or do you think it was just an error, or you think they saw that video and said this shouldn't be out there?
I don't think it's X in general, but I think there are people inside of X, or that are at least that have access to X, that are able to censor what gets shared and not. And there's no doubt about this, of course, because we have seen what has occurred the past few years when it comes to presidential elections being rigged due to the fact of social media, how big people are influencing the results of votes by utilizing social media and by simply saying, we're not going to mention it because then this would of course be banned off YouTube right away. But the whole
there's a documentary I saw on that, to be fair, which is called I can't remember the documentary is called, but it's basically based on a company called Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah,
who helped Trump win the first election using data from social media, and then helped the Brexit vote go through in the UK using data from social media, and using like targeted ads and using like 100 different data points. And it really emphasized how data has become the most lucrative asset now, or like it's more expensive than gold, for example, more expensive than pretty much everything in terms of data. So there is a documentary out there that sort of breaks that down. I found it very interesting personally. Yeah.
It's exactly what I meant. And when you then realize that company, it's still running, just under a different name, of course, because the scandal that came out there was too large. But when you realize that company is still running and has been influencing the results of nations, their elections, and all over the world. In the documentary, they even show the list of all the nations that were like influenced by this company. One of the nations they were active in was the UK, Netherlands, Germany was also on that list. A lot of big European countries, Africa. And then you realize, well, if these people apparently know how they can make use of social media to, first of all, spread information, whether it be true or false, because there is a lot of false information being shared on the socials, especially when it comes to such important news events. You don't have to research long before you realize that 99% of all of the information that gets shared with regards to specific events is simply AI generated or generated by humans, that they're still doing it manually, but they're literally trying to control the narrative with regards to certain topics. And it goes to everything. And when we're and that was like one of the things that really began making sense to me, is that ICT has mentioned many times that when he came on Twitter a few years ago, he was getting literally pushed away from it.
Why do you feel like ICT hasn't won the Robbins Cup then? You know, like we have this certainty, we have this faith, we have this esoteric knowledge You know, this very certain enigma algorithm knowledge that wants to be suppressed, you know, regardless of the kidnapping and all that story stuff, regardless of all that.
Yeah.
His concepts obviously work. Yourself and so many other traders have used it, shown payouts, shown consistency, you know, shown high level knowledge, have then taught other people also to do the same.
Yes.
So there's the proof of concept there.
Yes.
But why do you feel like ICT hasn't shown himself to do it, if that makes sense?
I think because he didn't want to yet.
But then, like this year, for example, you know, or the back end of last year going into this year, huge spectacle, calling everyone out,
Yes.
saying everyone join. We're all going. You know, I'm going to beat the record this year, etc., etc.
Yes.
And we're towards the end of March now. Nowhere to be seen. Very silent. You know, not on any leaderboard. No updates in terms of performance so far. Me personally, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Like, it makes no difference to me. But I know that it's still a spectacle, right? And we all like spectacles. But when I put the 2 and 2 together, if I'm to look at it and say, okay, all of this knowledge and, you know, coded algorithm, knows the algorithm, knows exactly how price works, etc. Results. They don't go. They're not matching. You know,
There's no balance there.
Mm.
I'm just going to put this out there to everyone listening. And it's something that is a rather simple answer. And this is for the people that have already gained a lot of experience and knowledge, is that if you look at the current market environment so far this year for the asset class that ICT is trading, the environment has not been high probable at all. Meaning we have seen intermarket relationship between the index futures and the dollar just be exactly gone, like zero. Index futures have been rising, dollar has been rising. Index futures have been dropping, dollar has been dropping. That's something you don't want to see. And when you look at the intraday delivery, it has been very messy. So I know ICT is probably also watching to this podcast right now. And I just want to share you, take your time, because it's like, I know what you have in possession, and it's just a matter of time before you push the button. And then it's like, there he goes, because he's waiting. When you're in a competition, everyone seems to believe you need to rush. You need to get to the finish line as soon as possible. How many months are there still left? Why push it in an environment that is not highly probable at all? Why not just let the competition show their hand, you know, try to push it so hard in the early stages, get burned out, and then later on. If you look at the Roberts Cup, like in general, it's insane to see. Like there's this one Argentinian guy, he has been very consistent with staying in the top 5. But besides that, my man, like you see people come, go. I don't know what's going on with them. They're probably blowing their accounts because they're over leveraging, but it just shows that everyone is trying to run.
This is fair. This is interesting. Very interesting.
So that's my view on it.
So you think that he's just playing the long game. By the end of the year, he'll do it.
Well, not necessarily by the end of the year, but time-wise, and if you think about it mathematically, he has a lot of time for him to perform.
If let's say someone was sat opposite you now, right? Let's say me. Yeah? Let's say if I sat here and said, you know what, I don't believe what you just said. Right, not by ICT, but generally, like, I don't believe, you know, algorithm or algorithmic price. I believe that, you know, it's buying and selling pressure, right? What you're saying is, it's like marketing. It's like fugazi. It's the cult, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, what would your, not a response in the sense that, you know, you need to convince me.
Yeah.
But what would your thoughts be to that? Because what I'm trying to do is, like, let's say if not all the audience, because I'm sure there's a lot of audience who will resonate with you, probably be very interested in what you're saying as well. But there will also be those who are sitting there thinking, what is this?
Yes. My response to those people would be the following. I would just kindly ask them to set aside their beliefs, the beliefs that they have right now, and I would simply ask them, okay, are you putting in the work, let's say for a week, to just go into the charts and see whether or not there's any validity about what I just mentioned on this podcast or what ICT has been teaching all these years. And it doesn't take long for someone to realize that, okay, damn, there are things repeating here.
Is there anything that you would say specifically look at? Like,
Yes.
go look at this specifically over and over again, and you'll see.
Yes. And what I would refer to is, first of all, higher time frame institutional order flow, meaning it's very important for you to know whether or not the market is bullish or bearish, whether or not the market is being repriced to a price above current market price. So for example, the market is here, that is being repriced to that price level, yes. Or that the market is right here and that is being repriced to this level. That's the draw on liquidity. When you know that, and when you have established that one-sided bias, let's say bullish, when you have established that bias and you begin to see the market expand, retrace into what ICT referred to as the discount array, or for example an imbalance, and that retracement takes place, and we then see an expansion leg higher, within that delivery right there, you see a lower time frame market make a buy model. Every single time. Might not be the cleanest every single time. However, you will see right there a market make a buy model. And it's simply due to the understanding that a higher time frame retracement followed by an expansion is a market maker model. If bullish, market make a buy model. If bearish, market make a sell model. And that right there is something that people can just investigate right away.
I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
In terms of your age then, like, normally people would be, I don't know, mid-20s, right? Maybe late 20s, maybe early 20s at the latest, or sometimes into their 30s. I'm getting a lot of traders on who are in their 30s, even into 40s nowadays, which is incredible. And normally a question I'll ask them is like, you know, if you were to give advice to the younger trader, what would you say? So for me, it's hard for me to go, hey, to the 13-year-old traders out there, what would you say?
I hope they're watching, first of all.
Yes, no, 100%. I do as well. But generally, people your age, I remember being your age, and I was motivated, I was driven, I had a plan, I had a vision, but I didn't have the obsession with something. I didn't have the time horizon of something.
Yes.
Right? I didn't think long term. I was thinking too short term. I needed to find success now. How can I find it soon? Like, how have you managed to stick to trading? How have you managed to be more in depth with trading, to level yourself up through trading at such a young age, be focused on trading?
Yes.
How have you managed to do that? What are the things that helped you to do that? What things can you share with potentially people who are wanting to do that at your age, but struggling to do so?
So to answer your question, it's a very good one. And first of all, I think it's very important to note that it doesn't matter where you are at when it comes to your age. You could be 16, you could be 18, you could be 30, you could be 40, whatever. It all begins with making that one decision, committing to something. For me personally, it all began with fitness when it comes to changing the way that I looked. I used to be very obese. I used to be very out of shape. When COVID hit, the way that I was feeling was just not well. I was feeling very sad. I was feeling very lost in life, just hanging out with friends all the time, and I was really questioning whether or not this was all to life. And what I then realized was the fact that, okay, well, why not try to become in a better shape? Why not try to look better? And I started researching dieting, started researching fitness. And this was when all the gyms were closed. So I was literally just, training in my room, training outside, going for runs, all of that stuff. And I began to see progress. I began to see growth in the way that I looked and in the way that I felt. And by seeing that progress, it made me realize, well, okay, if I have a goal, if I want to reach something, if I want to get to a certain stage, all I need to do is put in the right input, do the right stuff to get me towards that goal, be patient, and simply submit to time. And that's where my 3 words come from, that I have had on my charts for a very long time. Patience, courage, wisdom. The patience to submit to time. So the patience to be able to say, okay, I know that this is going to take a very long time probably, but I'm still going to do it. The courage to simply continue doing what I'm doing, even though it might be hard, even though I might fall many times, I'm just going to continue going. And the wisdom to be able to reflect on everything that I'm doing and seeing whether or not the progress is there. And by keeping those 3 words in my mind, with any particular goal that I have in life, I feel like I'm unstoppable. And as long as I continue grinding, as long as I keep putting in the right input, I believe I can achieve anything that I put my mind to. And that's what I want to give to your audience as well, is that no matter where you are at currently in life, there's always something that you can strive to achieve. And when you can see that person of yourself, that person who is at that stage that you're dreaming of, and you see that vision right there, you need to go. You just need to go. Submit to time and just go. Don't even think about it anymore, just go. And eventually, the path will become clear. And when you look back then, on that whole journey, you will think, I now understand why it had to work this way, why those things had to happen for me to learn and develop. And it's exactly how you need to look at failures. Whenever you fall down, whenever you take a small loss, or whenever you do this or that doesn't line up with the eventual vision, you need to be able to say, there's a lesson to be learned right here. And when you get that perspective, boom.
Did you learn that from anyone, or was that more so just a self-observation?
I have had many mentors when it comes to self-development in general. I've been a big fan of listening to podcasts for a very long time. And through those podcasts, I basically learned how to think. Because that's the thing. I believe that you are able to learn how to think in a certain way that is likely to lead you to the path of success. So that means looking at things from a certain perspective. Because at the end of the day, it's all about perspective. If you get hit, or if you get knocked down, you might say, you know what, I got knocked down, this is it, I'm done for the rest of life. This is not the path I should pursue. The other person will look at that fact that they got knocked down and say, well, I got knocked down, but I know what? I know why. I now know how to not get knocked down in the future, and I can make progress. And by understanding that, man, I call them like these perceptions that you can create for yourself. It's all about, okay, how am I looking at this current event, and how can I deal with it?
Is there any particular podcasts that you would that stand out to you?
Good question. I love Joe Rogan. I think all Joe Rogan podcasts are great. I love the one he did with Naval Ravikant. I don't know if you know him.
I've heard the name.
Very good podcast. Definitely suggest you. And I like Modern Wisdom.
Modern Wisdom, yes.
Every time I listen to interviews with, for example, David Goggins or Jordan Peterson, they really give me this frame of, okay, this is an interesting way to think about failures. Because when it comes to training and business in general, there are a lot of similarities between elite performance when it comes to sport, for example. In order to perform well in sports, you need to learn how to not perform well in sports. You need to learn what doesn't work. In trading, it's exactly the same.
And for your age, you speak very well. You're very confident. Is that again the podcast, or is it something else?
I feel like confidence is a result of simply doing the stuff that you're claiming to do so many times. Because when you get to a point where you have seen the same model, or where you have seen the same stuff work in whatever endeavor you're doing, when you see that, it's like, there you go. There's no doubt in your mind about it anymore.
And in terms of the trading side, would you say that anyone should be a trader?
Anyone out there? No. Because the struggles that will come on your path are probably not, how we say that, dealable for most people. And it's not because they can't learn how to deal with those. It's because the desire to become a trader is not there. The why isn't big enough. And I feel like everyone that figures out why they want to go down on this path will be able to deal with all of the situations that will be thrown at them, because they know that the eventual goal outweighs all of these short-term things that are putting or that are experiencing on their path.
One thing we haven't touched on, like you're 18 years old, you've done all these things in the trading space, this impact, your personal growth, the growth that you've had on the socials, etc. But one thing I think is fascinating is that you've actually moved to Dubai by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, at such a young age. What was that like for you? Why did you do that? What's it been like since being here?
The whole reason why I moved to Dubai, for me personally, was because it was a child dream of mine. Ever since I learned about the city of Dubai, it was just, I need to go there. I need to be here. And especially when I began going down this path of becoming a trader, of learning about trading, of learning about investing, or learning about business in general, everyone that is making money online is probably going to Dubai one day. And that is not just because of the fact that this is where all of the network opportunities occur, but it's also the way that the city has been built and the vision behind the city. When I think of Dubai, I think of growth, rapid growth, just insane growth. You can't imagine it. Well, we're going to make it happen. And that's exactly how my life has been so far. I've had so many people in my life literally say to me, yo, Zeus, you shouldn't do that. Oh, Zeus, you shouldn't not go to university, because you need to understand, I graduated back in June. Yeah. And a few months later, I said, bye-bye. Imagine that.
What did you do at university then?
At high school.
Oh, high school. What subjects were you doing there? Just
Right. In the Dutch system is set up in a way where you have like it's Atheneum for all the people that are you have Atheneum Gymnasium, and what you have there is simply just a lot of education, and they're priming you to go to university and to become one of these persons who is like, you know, a very top person in the country, becoming a doctor, becoming some type of lawyer, all of that stuff. And it never really intrigued me. And when I said to people, yeah, I don't want to go to uni, I don't want to go to university, the first thing they said was, well, what else are you gonna do? You know, this is the only thing you can do. You've got this degree now, you graduated, and you're telling me now that you're not going to use that degree at all? Imagine that conversation with your parents or with other family members.
What's it been like, obviously, moving? A lot of people talk about growth, you know, in terms of personal development.
Yes.
Especially traveling alone and being alone in a place. You've come alone, right?
Yes.
So what sort of personal development have you had through that process? It's almost like, obviously you're not alone in the sense that you just stay by yourself. But you have that solitude aspect. Like, you are alone in a new environment. And if you want to progress in that environment, you need to get out there and make things happen for yourself and take action for yourself now, by yourself. Have you had that experience? Has there been a lot of, obviously we've talked about growth generally, but in terms of your personal development, has that helped with confidence? Has it helped with putting yourself out there more?
What are you exactly referring to when it comes to living in Dubai, or?
Yes, well, not just Dubai, but obviously Dubai might be the first time. Have you traveled before that by yourself?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Well, not by myself, but just with loved ones.
Yeah, so like this would be the first time by yourself then. But a lot of people, when they talk about by themselves, they say that it forces growth. Like more so than just traveling generally, like on a holiday or with people you know.
Yeah.
I haven't personally done it, to be fair. I've always thought about it, but by now it's too late. You know, I've got married and kids, so I can't be like, bye-bye.
But that's the thing, like, Riz, you and I are at completely different stages in our lives. You get me? Like, what is logical to me is completely probably illogical to you, because you have, of course, responsibilities. You have kids, you have a wife to take care of, and I don't have that. You get me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have anyone who's like really depending on me every single day. Surely I have my loved ones who I'm taking care of and who I really love. I've a lovely partner, and you know, working very hard to give her the life that she deserves, and the same for my other family members like my mother. But it's a different way of them depending on myself, because they are just living their lives and they could also go on without me helping them out. But for you, it's different. You need to take care of your family financially mainly, but also as a good father, as a good husband. Yeah. So for me, the risk of moving to another place is like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? There's no downside risk to me. Literally none. If you would travel by yourself, it's like, okay, well, if I don't perform, if the podcast doesn't do this well, if my training doesn't go this well, what then? You get me? For me, it's...
Do you feel like people in your position should take those risks?
Hell yes, take the risk. Just do it. No matter... Like, I have this quote, and it says, like, success lays on the other side of your biggest fears. So whenever you're fearful of doing something, do it. No matter how you do it. Force yourself to do it, because along the way you will learn how to basically do what you're planning on doing. And people say, like, you need to have this plan, you need to have this whole vision, you get me? But you know yourself as well, who would have thought that within such a short period of time, the podcast would have gone so big?
It's true.
You get me? It's like, you just go, and along the way you learn, you meet new people that can help you level up, and that's just how the journey goes. And I think that's one of the ways that people should just force themselves to get out of that comfort zone, get into that discomfort zone, and eventually everything will be all right. Have faith in that.
Need to get to level, was it 20 strain? That's what you need to get.
Yeah.
Impossible number. I want to ask you as well, your name, Zeus.
Yes.
Zeussy. Why? Why Zeus? Why Zeussy?
Well, the name Zeus comes, of course, from the Greek god Zeus, and he's like the god of all gods within Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was thinking of a name that I wanted to use for my alter ego online, you get what I'm saying?
It's like fair value god, ICT.
Oh, yeah, exactly like that. Like, who do you want to be named as?
Yeah.
So Zeus was someone I always was very intrigued by, the person, the character in general. You have this god who's like the main god of all the gods. He's like the leader of all gods. And when I thought of that name and related it to trading in general, I thought of, okay, why not call myself something relatable to Zeus? Not saying that I'm like the best trader out there, because I'm not. However, I'm aiming to be that. And by having that picture of myself, that mental image that I can refer to every time that I'm slacking, it's like, okay, you're slacking now. Focus again, because else you can't become the Zeus of trading. And of course, Zeus is a name that is pretty common, so I had to give a little touch to it, and that's where the Zeussy came from.
No, I like it. And I want you to have the final word, if you will, in terms of the podcast. Like, what is there anything that we didn't touch on, for example, or anything you want to say specifically to the audience? This is your time.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the spotlight's on you.
My moment.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it might be something that you don't expect.
You can direct it at them as well.
Yeah, I will do. It might be something that you don't expect, because this was a rather technical podcast. However, I want to share something with you when it comes to just taking that next step, because I know that some of you are probably very scared of taking that next step. It might be just going all in on trading, or it might be just focusing on this one way of trading and not looking at anything else. It might be even just focusing on ICT concepts. I want you to know that if you keep on delaying the work that you need to put in, you will never reach that exponential growth that you're desiring. It all begins with simply locking in, saying, I'm gonna do this. Doesn't matter how long it will take, doesn't matter if it takes years of hard work, I'm going to figure out how this works and how I can achieve it. And if you do that, if you have that faith, and if it's the thing you think about before you go to bed every single night, eventually things will start to click. And then the light bulb moments will come, and you will reach the success that you desire, and maybe even more, because there are levels when it comes to your dreams, and you can go way beyond what you think to be possible.
I love that.
You love that?
Yeah. you've been practicing, or you have a natural ability. I'm gonna go with natural ability.
Natural ability.
Yeah, you speak very, very well. And we definitely should, hopefully, now that you've done the face reveal, hopefully we'll see more of you.
Yeah,
You know? I feel like I'm sure the audience will agree, and that's what we can ask them now. Drop a comment with your comments below, your thoughts on the podcast, any of the key moments, as well as, do you want to see more from Zeussy? And where do you want to see him? More podcasts, more now YouTube videos? Who knows?
Before we end the podcast, I just want to say this out there. I'm not going to turn into one type of reality trader out there. Like, I know a lot of people are like, it's more the lifestyle than it's actually trading. Even though I've shown my face now to you, you now know who's behind the voice, who's behind everything. It's not going to turn into like, I have a face cam now in front of my execution videos or that type of style. I feel like there's a balancing act that has to occur when it comes to the real life stuff and the trading side of things. And at the end of the day, you follow me for the trading side of things. So that's just something I'm weighing out, how I want to use that in the future, man.
100%. Hopefully they can give you a little hints into what they want, and then you can decide. But
exactly.
I respect that, though, because I think obviously you got to do what's right for you and focus on where you think the most value is from.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely. Well, everyone, like I said, drop in the comments below, especially if you want to see a part 2 in the future. Maybe we can get Zeussy on one of the round tables. Especially let us know if you want to see him on a day trading show, because that's what I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to make happen. But talking of which, there'll be other playlists right here on screen. Check out past episodes. Check out the day trading show channel, which will be like somewhere there. Otherwise, hit subscribe, hit like, and until next time, everyone, take care.